All right, this one only has 4 problems, so I'm not going to work them for you, but I am going to help you figure out how you should get them set up. For instance, how to convert the fraction to a decimal so that you can add, subtract, multiply, or divide them, and tell you what the words are that let you know what operation you're going to do, because that's what I struggled with in school, was knowing what word told me what the operation was. So question number 1 says, Rob ran 5 and 36 miles on Monday and 2 and 11 25 miles on Tuesday. How many total miles did Rob run? Okay, just to abbreviate this, real world operations with rational numbers. With rational numbers. Okay, so we're given our decimal of 5 and 36 and our other number is 2 and 11 25. Okay, and then it asks how many total miles did Rob run. That is an addition question. If we want to know the total amount of something, it's going to be an addition problem most of the time. Now, every once in a while, I've seen that we've done some totals where it's actually a multiplication problem, and when we come up to one of those, I can explain why that one's multiplication instead of addition, but this one is addition. So we need to turn this into a decimal. How do I do that? Well, decimals can be drawn from fractions if the fraction has a 10, a 100, or a 1000 on the bottom. Now, I can't divide 25 by a whole number to get 10, but I can multiply 25 by a whole number to get 100. So this is why we keep saying you got to know how many quarters you have. You got to know how much a quarter is worth. Okay. If you have 4 quarters, you have 100 cents or $1. Okay, so I can multiply 25 by 4 to get a bottom number of 100. Now remember, the whole number stays the same. We're not messing with that because it's in front of the fraction. It's not with the fraction or in the fraction. So if we change the denominator, we have to change the numerator by the same amount. So that's 44. And now I can write this as a decimal. 2 and 44 hundredths. And then I can add them together. And you're just going to go ahead and add those. Remember to bring your decimal straight down. Okay, let's look at number 2. I'm going to try not to knock my camera over. There we go. Let's get a little more light in here. There we go. Leah needs 4 7/10 cups of flour to make bread. She has 2 2/5 cups of flour in the pantry. How many cups of flour does she need to borrow from the neighbor? So again, they give us 4 7/10, and they give us 2 2/5. How many cups of flour does she need to borrow from the neighbor? And that's our question. So we need to find the difference between these two numbers. What does difference mean? Subtraction. Difference is an answer to a subtraction problem. So we need to turn this into a decimal, and just like we did on number 1, we're going to turn this bottom number into a 10, a 100, or a 1000. Now, 5 turns into a 10 very easily. I have seen some students do hundredths for some reason whenever they've got a 5, and you can do that. You're just going to have an extra 0 on the end, so why use extra pencil lead or use extra ink when you could just do 5 times 2 and get 10. Okay, and 2 times 2 is 4. So now we're going to subtract 2 4/10. And honestly, eventually you'll see fifths enough that you'll just have these memorized. You'll see 2/5 and know that that's 0.4. But, you know, it's okay if you're not there yet. It took me a while to get there too. Okay, and then, yeah, you can subtract that like normal. There's not even any regrouping on that one, so that one's easy. This one is less fun. Multiplying decimals has not been super fun because we tend to have a lot of adding that we have to do. And the numbers tend to be kind of big and unwieldy. So let's just go ahead and get into it, and I'll work a little bit of it with you. We have 4 and 35 hundredths, and the other number is 2 and 13 twentieths. Okay, and the question says you are creating a rectangular garden that is 4 and 35 hundredths. No, I'm reading that wrong. You are creating a rectangular garden that is 4 and 35 hundredths meters long by 2 and 13 twentieths meters wide. What is the area in square meters? Let me have a sip of my coffee. Maybe that's why I'm struggling. Anyway, we can turn 20 into 100. This is another time where you need to use what you know about money, because you guys are getting older, and so you're starting to get some pretty nice amounts of money as a gift, like for your birthday or for Christmas. And so you need to know how many 20s you need to have in order to make 100. So if you have 5 $20 bills, then you have $100 in your hand. So I know I can turn 20 into 100 by multiplying it by 5, okay? Which means I also need to multiply 13 by 5, okay? I don't know what 13 by 5 is off the top of my head, but I do know what, did I say 13 by 5? Doesn't matter. I do know what 12 times 5 is. 12 times 5 is 60. So 13 times 5 is 5 more than that. So that would be 65. So now that I've got it on top of 100, it's going to be really easy for me to turn that into a decimal. Okay, so let's work a little bit of this one just because multiplying a 3-digit number by a 3-digit number is kind of unwieldy. If you are here, you don't have to put the decimal in. A lot of times I'll throw it out and not put it in until the very end so it doesn't distract me. But you can leave it in at the beginning if you want. Okay, 5 times 5 is 25. Carry your 2. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 more, 16, 17. Carry that 1. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 more makes 21. Okay, we're done with these, and we're done with these. Our next digit starts in the tens place, so our answer has to start in the tens place. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 3 is 18, 19, 20, 21. And 6 times 4 is 24, plus 2 more is 26. I almost added them instead of multiplied. We're done with these, and we're done with this. This digit is in the hundreds place, so my answer has to start in the hundreds place. My writing is starting to get a little out of line, so this is where you're coming in. Okay, we're 2 in, so we're 2 in. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 more makes 7. And 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, so then this is what you're adding up. 5 plus 0 plus 0, 7 plus 0 plus 0, 1 plus 1 plus 0, 2 plus 6 plus 7, and 2 plus 8. When you are figuring out where your decimal goes, it does not come straight down. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 digits behind the decimal in our problem. So we need to have 1, 2, 3, 4 digits behind the decimal in our answer. So you should have 4 numbers behind the decimal in your answer. Let's look at the last problem together. Chloe has a spool of ribbon that measures 51 6/10 inches long. She needs 4 3/10 inches to make 1 bow. How many bows can Chloe make with the ribbon she has? 1 second, my camera doesn't want to balance now. Oh, I see why. Let me just make this. Okay. Slide that up a little bit more. So we have 51 6/10, and we have 4 3/10, but we can make that a decimal really easily. 4 3/10. These are said the same way. Okay. So she has a spool of ribbon that's this long, and she wants to cut it up to make smaller bows. Okay, so if we're dividing something up, if we're cutting something up, that's going to be a division problem. So when we set this up, we need to ask ourselves, what is being split up by what? Are we splitting the total amount into bows, or are we splitting the bows into the total amount? Right, we're splitting the total amount into bows. So that means that this is our dividend. It's going to go inside the division bracket. And this is our divisor. It's going to go on the outside. When we divide decimals, our divisor wants the decimal to move all the way to the right. So for it to be all the way to the right, it's going to move one spot. So now this is going to look like 43. The dividend wants to copy whatever the divisor did. So since this one moved one jump, this one moves one jump. So now our problem looks like 43 and 516. Give me one moment. I don't remember what the answer was to that one, so I want to see if that one ends up having a decimal or not. Oh, and pair assessment is hiccuping on me. 1 second. Real world, there it is, and view test details. Okay, so you will get a whole number for this one. Okay, so if you're working it and you have a remainder still, it means you've messed up somewhere. 43 will go evenly into 516, so you'll need to do the steps to figure that out. Remember, 43 won't fit into 5 because 43 is bigger than 5, but 43 will go into 51. How many times? You can figure it out.